Hey, thanks for coming by, Brian, for Liberty. We have got a few things to go over quickly today. We're going to be talking about a story that's coming out of Florida. We're also going to be talking about the UK being the first country to go endemic and an opposite reaction in Canada. Stick around. All right, I want to start with this because the whole thing, this whole time, get the jab, do this, do that, all these different things is we're here to save lives. One of the beauties of being a small channel, by the way, like myself, is that I get to talk about whatever the hell I want. So today we're talking about the pandemic. I know it's a topic we're not allowed to discuss, but I don't care because I'm not monetized. So what are they going to do? Maybe take me down. But this is a little thing coming out of Florida. And it's actually coming from the FDA and the Department of Health, but this is coming from the Florida Health Department. As a result of the U.S. FDA's abrupt decision to remove the EUAs, that's Emergency Use Authorizations, for the two monoclonal antibodies, monoclonal antibody treatment sites will be closed until further notice. Full press release below. Monoclonal antibodies have been shown to be useful as a treatment for COVID-19. So pulling those is clearly a bad decision. We're taking a treatment off the shelf. Why? The reason I'm hearing is that it is not sure, they're not sure if it's actually effective against Omicron. But neither are the vaccines, of course, but I guess we're not going to have that conversation. This evening, without any advance notice, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration revised the emergency use authorization. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of that medicine. The revised EUAs do not allow providers to administer these treatments within the United States. The FDA just said nobody's allowed to have monoclonal antibodies. Omicron is the only thing that exists, apparently, and we are not going to allow this thing as a treatment for the virus because it may not be effective. I mean, we wouldn't want something that could potentially not be effective to be on the market, right? We don't want people using potentially non-effective treatments against this pandemic. It's important that only effective things get onto the market. Along with that, I've got a piece from the CNBC here. This is brilliant. London, coming out of London. London. It's been criticized by many for its reluctance to introduce more COVID-19 restrictions in the face of the Omicron variant, but the UK could be one of the first countries to emerge from the coronavirus pandemic, according to one leading scientist. Now, for those of you who haven't been watching the news, Boris Johnson has already dropped all COVID restrictions in England. Travel restrictions, mask mandates, everything. They're done. Boris Johnson essentially has said that we're done. COVID's not a thing for us anymore. We're moving on with our lives. Countries are now seeing population immunity build up. That's something that conspiracy theorists at the very beginning of all this would call herd immunity, but I guess calling it community immunity is perfectly fine. Countries are now seeing population immunity build up, and that seems to be keeping the virus at bay, not causing serious illness or death in countries where population immunity is high. Now, herd immunity, also known as population immunity apparently, not causing serious illness or death. And hey, whatever you got to tell yourself. Heyman, speaking at online seminar hosted by think tank Chapman House on Monday, cited the latest figures from the UK Statistics Authority on immunity. Listen to this number because this is super important. That estimated that 95% of the population in England have antibodies against infection, either through vaccination or natural infection. The majority of those in intensive care units now, Heyman added, were the unvaccinated, because it's always the virus of the unvaccinated. The UK government was criticized last month for refusing to bring in more restrictions on social mixing ahead of Christmas as the Omicron variant, first discovered in South Africa in late November, spread rapidly. The UK was one of the first countries to be hit hard by the highly infectious strain. Omicron was dubbed as of concern by the World Health Organization, given the high number of mutations of the strain and fears it could undermine COVID vaccines. It's almost like the COVID vaccines might not be work against this, and maybe they should come off the market because we don't want ineffective treatments. Nah, we're not going to think about that. 95%, that's the number I want you paying attention to. This right here, I'm pointing to my screen over here as if you can see what I'm doing. 95%, this is the number I want you to, this is vaccinated, vaccines, and natural immunity As we go to our friends to the north, in Canada, in Quebec, the Canadian province of Quebec will charge a health tax to residents who are not vaccinated against COVID-19. Quebec, which has been seeing the highest number of COVID-related deaths in Canada, is currently struggling with a surge in cases. I obviously am having trouble reading. On Tuesday, the premier announced that it would be the first in the nation to financially penalize the unvaccinated. Now, Quebec, which has seen the highest number of COVID-related deaths in Canada. I would ask which Canadian province has the highest population, because I didn't say per capita, I said the highest number of deaths. On Tuesday, the premier announced that it would be the first in the nation to financially penalize the unvaccinated. Only about 12.8% of Quebec residents are not vaccinated. Only 12.8% of Quebec residents are not vaccinated. What does that mean? What percentage of Quebec residents, if 12.8%, which puts the vaccinated amount at right around 87%. So they have 87% vaccination rate, and you're saying that this highly contagious disease hasn't already impacted 8% of the rest of the population? What about, shouldn't they be getting to community immunity? Isn't that where didn't we just see 95% community immunity? Community immunity. I like it. Community immunity, and we're going to open and drop everything. And in Canada, all of a sudden, 87% vaccination with, come on, 8% of the rest of the population hasn't been infected yet? It seems like two countries doing two different things, all following the same science. This is the problem with this from the very beginning. I don't know the politics of Canada. I don't know what's going on up there. I don't know how many Canadians are. Look, if 87% acceptance rate of the vaccine means that Canada is probably and Canadians in general are probably very much, let's put this behind us and present a unified front. And to me, this just screams political opportunity, and we're going to continue to stand tough in the fight against this thing, even if the science, at least according to the UK and their numbers, doesn't seem to make sense. You can't tell me that Quebec doesn't have 95% exposure if 87% of their population is already vaccinated. So I just wanted to hit on those three things. I'm not sticking around long today. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please, please, please do me a big favor. Like, subscribe, and share the content if you did. I will be back on Friday talking about the next chapter of Critical Race Theory. I am wrapping that book up because that is boring, it is dry, and I don't like it to begin with. And we'll be moving on to a little bit more tweet and headline busting as we move forward. So please like, subscribe, share the content. Turn on the notifications. So I look forward to seeing you next time, and thank you very much for stopping by.